So Rosetta has been one of the cornerstone ESA exploration missions, and I joined in 2008. And at the time, it was, let's say, just another mission. And joining the team as a normal engineer, we started preparing, of course, for this big milestone, the rendezvous with the comet. And because the comet was going so far away from the sun, so beyond the satellite, beyond the distance of Jupiter, it had to be switched off in a hibernation phase. So completely switched off for around 2.5 years, in which the operations engineers, ESA, and us at DLR, we would have no data, nothing from the satellite. And what was the biggest, let's say, eye-opener for me was then towards the beginning of 2014 when this wake-up was supposed to happen. So there was an alarm set that on the 20th of January, Rosetta had to wake up autonomously and make contact again with the ground stations on Earth. This was suddenly picking up a lot of attention in media and abroad. Friends that have nothing to do with aerospace engineering are asking, isn't that the mission that you're working on? All of us and the team and these were like, we have suddenly quite an exciting chance here to do something not just relevant on a space exploration level, but also towards outreach and communicating about science. To jump forward a bit, Rosetta in that year of 2014 approached the comet progressively. And on the landing date, Philae lander was pushed away from Rosetta and then had to go through a 7-hour descent phase to land on the comet. And you mentioned we touched down not just once, not twice, but even 3 times. And the third time was, let's say, the final touchdown.
3 times is a charm.
There were a lot of discussions amongst the scientists. Some said the comet is going to be so soft, you're going to fall through it. Others said it's going to be really hard, so we're going to rebound. And the lander had basically a thruster turned upside down, that would ignite to keep it on the surface, and 2 anchors. But all of this was, of course, tailor-made 10, 15 years earlier. So we had quite some challenges with these systems that even during the landing phase, we got the data. We saw, we are having troubles. We knew that the harpoons, the anchors, were probably not going to work. During the 7 hours, we also had a crash of the thruster, which was upside down. So we knew it was going to be very challenging. And I still remember sitting at the console, and we were in the voice loop with ASOC, and we had a clear agreement, like we're going to, not shout out when we get the signals of touchdown. We're going to, on the voice loop, check, like, are we there? Are we stable? All of that didn't work. We got the data that we touched down, and we saw all the people at ASOC shouting out, saying, we've landed. And I still remember seeing there and still trying to go process the data. And we saw, we saw the touchdown, but we also saw the telemetry of the solar panels indicating that Philae was still rotating.
Okay.
And I was sitting, I think, like, something can't be right, because if we landed, but I still see, like, say, a rotation, so the sun going around, it means that they're still moving. And I could immediately, after a few seconds, see, that is not an unstable or a decaying rotation. So for me, it was clear we've rebounded. And then quickly, everybody started to realize something is not so good. I was basically agreed or scheduled to go on to, let's say, a live stream towards ESA and say like, everything's great, we've landed. And I went to the head of DLR and the people that saying, what are we going to say? Because at the moment, we're not really sure if we actually landed or if we're going to come back or if we're going to rebound back into space. And that was it. So we kind of improvised their statement. But thankfully, I think it was like an hour and a half later, we suddenly saw in telemetry that the movement stopped. And that was us then like, now we've landed, now we're there. Question was, where are we? How are we landed? Can we still do what we plan to do? And that was all like a crazy hour and a half of like pure space engineering.